What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Halloween to you all. And for today's video, I thought I'd do something really special. And I do a Phantom Knight deck profile. So big shout out to my boy Shadow Realm Yu-Gi-Oh for the deck idea. His deck was actually not too shabby. I decided to take some stuff out and I added some other cards as well. Just because I felt like the deck was a little, just not completely inconsistent, but just a little inconsistent. So with this build, it's a lot more better. It's a lot more versatile, and the boards that you can make with this deck are actually not too bad. So I'm not gonna waste any time. Actually, before we get started, if you guys notice, yes, I actually did shave all this off. The reason why I shaved all this off was because I found out that I was actually born with eczema, which is a skin rash. I actually ended up the last time I had eczema was like a little over 20 years ago, and it was like right on my cheek, right here, right where my scar is. You can't even tell because of the lighting, but yeah, but the eczema went on my lips right here and right here, like on both sides of my chin. So I had to shave it all off to put some cortisone, some sort of like rash ointment, if you will, on there. So yeah, not fun, but it is starting to fade just a little bit. So maybe after another few more days, it'll be okay. But yeah, get used to seeing this for the next couple weeks at best. So hope you guys can try and get used to it. But that being said, let's get straight into the Phantom Knight deck. First up, we have and also too, before I forget, before I start, I will be posting the deck on my Instagram, so make sure you guys follow me there. Link is in the description, and be sure to follow and be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell for more deck profiles in the future. Let's get straight into it. So first up, we have the one copy of the Phantom Knights of Cloven Helm. This is actually a really good card, because the effect reads, if a Phantom Knight card or card is sent to your grave, this card gains 500 attack. You can banish this card from your grave during the end phase of this turn. Add a Phantom Knight card from your grave to your hand, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So not only does this card become a 2000 body on board, but you also get to, it's basically monster reincarnation, where you can just add a Phantom Knight card from your grave back to your hand, in which truth be told, there are no Phantom Knight spells in the deck. It's the Phantom Knights are mostly traps. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 Phantom Knight traps, and they're all just as good as this card. So this is basically your graveyard Rhoda, so to speak. So it's a nice piece of it's a nice versatile card, if you will, for the deck. Next up, we have not one, but 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Fragile Armor. This effect is actually kind of cool, because the effect reads, if a face up the Phantom Knight monster or monsters you control is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can banish this card from your grave and send 1 Phantom Knight's card from your hand to the grave. Draw 1 card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So not only is this a Cyber Dragon, but it's also a Dark World Dealings, where you can send a card from your hand to the grave, and you're able to draw a card from your deck. That's why I decided to put this at 2. Is because with all 3, you can go into your rank 4 plays, which could be a Time Thief Redoer, or it can even be also a Raider's Knight as well, which is pretty cool. And not only that, that's not the only 4-star monster that I have in the deck. Truth be told, there's also the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine, which can be treated as a 4-star monster, and it's not even and once it's summoned, it's not even a trap. So if your opponent was to activate something like, say, a Harpy's Feather Duster, say for example, you can actually chain Shade Brigandine, summon it in defense, and it doesn't go to the graveyard, which is absolutely nuts. And if you normal summon, say, Cloven Helm, you can overlay them into your rank 4 plays, or if you wanted to, you can go into your Link plays as well, which is actually pretty cool. Next up, we have the one copy of the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. This is a really interesting card. I wouldn't, in my opinion, I would probably consider this the brick of the deck, in my personal opinion. But it's basically 50-50. You can either see it as a brick or you don't, because the effect reads if the Phantom Knight's monster or monsters is special summoned to your field except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can increase the level of this card by 1. You can banish the card from your grave, special summon one of the Phantom Knight's monster from your hand, except this card. Then you can increase its level by 1. So basically, it's basically a double Cyber Dragon, where not only can you special summon this card from your hand, but also you can banish the card from your grave and Cyber Dragon another Phantom Knight from your hand directly to the field, and both their levels can go up by 1. So in this case, if you were to special summon, just as an example, if you were to special summon, I'll say Cloven Helm, you can summon Stained Greaves from your hand, increase its level by 1, or we can also do is if your opponent activates Harpy's Feather Duster, you chain Shade Brigandine, you special summon it to your main monster zone in defense, and then once Feather Duster resolves, you can activate Stained Greaves, special summon it in defense position as well, increases the level by 1, and you have a rank 4 in the form of either Redoer or Raider's Knight, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Next up, we have the one copy of the Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves. This is a really old card. This is probably one of the more older cards of the whole archetype. By the way, shoutouts to Starbucks, not sponsored, just love their coffee. Well, I woke up way too early this morning, that's why. But Ragged Gloves is kind of cool because the effect reads, a Dark Exceeds monster that was summoned using this card on the field as material gains this effect. If it is Exceed summon, it gains 1,000 attack. You can banish this card from your grave, send one Phantom Knight's card from your deck to the grave, and send one Phantom Knight's card from your deck to the grave. You can only use each effect once per turn. So not only does the monster that you summon using this card as the material gain 1,000, which is basically Axe of Despair, but you can also just Foolish Burial one of your Phantom Knight cards from your deck to the graveyard, which could actually be Stained Greaves, which can actually give you a monster from your hand as well, which is a really cool tech. Next up, we have two copies of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak, another really old card, but still really good. If this card is in attack position, you can target one dark monster in the field, change this card to defense, and if you do, that monster gains 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. You can banish this card from your grave, add a Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand, except this card, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Basically, again, it's another form of it's basically a form of Rhoda, so to speak. Which, again, I believe a lot of these have the same Rhoda effect. Some of them do. Some of them actually have a Cyber Dragon effect. Some, I believe, have a Monster Reborn effect as well, which is really cool. Really, really cool. This one actually has the Rhoda effect, which pretty much any level 3 monster can give you Break Sword. Break Sword would end up getting destroyed. Then you could summon, I'll say, Ancient Cloak and Stained Greaves. Their level goes up by 1. You instantly go into either Redoer or into none other than Raider's Knight, in which Raider's Knight can help you go into Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, but I believe too. Excuse me. Okay. Alright, I guess not. I thought that you could go into Cyber Infinity, but I guess not. It dawned on me that they can't, but still, again, some of the different plays you can do with this deck is actually really cool. Really cool. And then to round out the entire Phantom Knight, the Phantom Knight's monsters, we have 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales, which is actually really cool because the effect reads, you can discard 1 card, send 1 Phantom Knight's card from your deck to the grave, except this card. Basically, it's a Foolish Burial. Basically, it is a Foolish Burial, or I guess rather it's a, I guess it's a double Foolish Burial, because not only are you sending a card from your hand to the graveyard, you're also sending a card from your deck to the graveyard as well, which, again, it's a 2 for 1, but still it's not too bad. It's not too bad. If another Phantom Knight's card in your grave is banished, while this card is in your grave, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. How do you bypass the banishing effect? You use it as Xyz material, and if the Xyz monster goes to the graveyard, so do its materials, and you don't have to banish your Torn Scales at all. Plain simple. Plain and simple. And then to round out the entire Phantom Knight package, I swear that dog needs to stop talking. We have 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. Another really old card, but still absolutely broken. The effect reads: if you control the Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon this card once per turn. This way, you can banish the card from your grave, add 1 to the Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So not only is this a not only does this card have the effects of Cyber Dragon, but you can also basically it's basically Cyber Dragon 1 for 1, where you banish the card from your grave, and you can Rhoda out 1 of your Phantom Knight spell or traps to your hand from your deck, which is really, really cool. And again, normal summon any of the 3-star monsters, special summon Silent Boots, or actually rather, special summon this next card that I'm going to talk about here in a second. Let me rephrase. I'm starting to get confused here. Normal summon. I'll say Ancient Cloak. Special summon this next card that I'm going to talk about here in a second. Special summon Silent Boots, and then activate a card like say Emergency Teleport, which I will explain that here in a second. Which again, E-Tele, we all know what it does, so I don't have to explain. So you basically special summon a 3. You basically get to special summon a level 3 or lower psychic monster, and you can basically double Xyz your Break Swords, or you can go into Break Sword and I'll say Rusty Bardiche. Let's just say that. There you go. Broken. What is the card that I'm talking about? Kagemusha Knight. Probably one of the most insane cards in the deck. The effect reads, when you normal summon a level 3 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Cannot be used as synchro material. It is true that I do have 3 synchros, two in the extra, 1 in the side. But truth be told, they're way too broken to be they're way too power. Their levels are way too high to be used for this card to be used as synchro material, which is pretty crazy. And then for the hand traps, we have 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Spell, and that's it. That's pretty much it. The side deck, we do have some other hand traps, but I'll get to those in a second. We do have a small danger package. We have the Danger Jackalope and the Danger Tsuchinoko, mainly to thin out the deck as quickly as we can to go into cards like Break Sword, cards like Appaloosa, whatnot, just to name a few cards. And then the Psychic package, we have the Psychic Wielder and then the Psychic Trancer, or Tracker as well, which are really good because you can actually use these cards and any 3-star any of the 3 stars to go into Break Sword, or you can go into your Link plays with those monsters as well, which is really cool. Moving on into the spells, there are only 5 spells in the deck. We have the one Rhoda, which can get you pretty much any warrior from your deck to your hand. Monster Reborn, which can give you basically pretty much anything from your graveyard. Call by the Grave. It sucks that this card is at 1, but still you want your plays to go through as much as possible. So definitely use this in the main. And then last but not least, 2 copies of Emergency Teleport to go into the Psychic monsters, which will help you go into your Break Sword plays and whatnot. And even though it does say banish it during the end phase of this turn, you can actually bypass it by just simply using the monsters as Xyz material, and you can go and you just send them to your graveyard, and you don't have to worry. Moving on into the traps, we have 3 copies of Waken the Dragon. You're wondering why. I'll explain why. Once we get into the extra deck. And then of course too, we have the one Shade Brigadine. Pretty self-explanatory. Don't have to explain. But basically, what it does is you can special summon this card face up in defense as a normal monster, in which it's funny. It's funny because the other effect reads, if you have no traps in your graveyard, you can activate this card the turn it was set, which is actually kind of funny. But you're going to be having traps in your graveyard because of cards like Waken the Dragon and also to Solemn Warning as well, which I am running in the deck. So, but still, this and any of the other 4-star Phantom Knights that you have in the main, you go into Rear's Knight, Time Thief Redoer, you're pretty much off to the races. Next up, we have 3 copies of Fogblade. Probably this is basically the Forbidden Chalice, I would say, of the whole deck, because you can target one effect monster on the field. That monster cannot attack, and it cannot and monsters cannot target that monster for attacks. And the best part is that its effects are negated, so this can work against cards like Appaloosa, Halka-Fibrax, pretty much anything. If your opponent doesn't have an out to Fogblade, you essentially just win. So this card, absolutely incredible. And also too, it actually has another effect, which reads when this card when it leaves the field, destroy this card. Basically, when the targeted monster that you use, when the monster you target for Fogblade when it leaves the field, this card gets destroyed. But what's cool about this is that it actually has a second effect, which reads, you can banish this card from your grave, and then target one of the Phantom Knights monster in your grave, special summon it, but banish it when it's a field, and you're going to use Fogblade. You're going to use this effect once per turn. So it has an effect similar to to Galactic Spiral Dragon, where if you have certain monsters, where I believe, let's see, Galactic Spiral Dragon. So with Spiral Dragon, it reads: while this card is in your hand or grave, if you control 2 or more light and or dark dragon monsters, dark dragons, you can special summon this card in defense, but banish it when it leaves the field. During your main phase, you can make all monsters you currently control become level 8 until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So obviously, Fogblade has the second effect of Fogblade has the effects of the first effect for Spiral Dragon. But what's cool about this is that you can bypass the banishing effect by simply using the monsters as Xyz material, and you're pretty much off to the races there, plain and simple. Next up, we have the one copy of Phantom Knight's Sword. And you're wondering, why am I running this card? This card sucks. You're probably thinking it sucks, but it actually does not. Because the effect reads, activate this card by targeting one face-up monster on the field, it gains 800 attack. Also, if that target would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. When it leaves the field, destroy this card. You can banish this card from your grave and target one of the Phantom Knight's monsters in your grave. Special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So it has an effect similar. So the effects are similar to Fogblade. The only difference is that you can actually target your monster, and that monster gains 800 attack, which could actually be pretty much any of your monsters in your extra deck, even in your main deck. It gains 800 attack, and you can just reborn one, your monster. So you have what? Let's see. You have. Let's see, I would say what? Maybe, let's take a look. Let's see. You have 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You basically have like 8 different. It's as if you have like eight Monster Reborns, which is like absolutely broken. And then of course the one Solemn Warning, so your plays can actually go through if your opponent ends up negating those effects. Your own effects. Moving on into the extra deck, starting with the links, we are running a Nightmare package. So we have Nightmare Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Cerberus has an effect where it says if this card is link summoned, you can discard one card, then target one special summon monster in your opponent's main monster zone, destroy it. Then, if this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you could draw a card. You can only use this effect of Nightmare Cerberus once per turn. Co-linked monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Phoenix focuses on spell and trap cards that your opponent may have, and then Unicorn basically just targets pretty much any card on the field, and it goes back into the deck, which is actually pretty cool. And then truth be told, this actually has additional effects where it says if this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you can draw one card, and obviously it's a once per turn. While any co-linked Nightmare monsters are on the field, for your normal draw in your draw phase, draw one card for each different name among those co-linked Nightmares instead of drawing just one card. So if you have all 3, you're basically drawing. So if you have 2, so if you have Unicorn and I'll say Phoenix, it's basically Pot of Greed, which is absolutely insane. Then of course we have the one Rusty Bardiche, which actually is pretty cool because the effect reads during your main phase, you can send one of the Phantom Knight's monster from your deck to the grave, then set one Phantom Knight spell or trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap zone. So not only is this a Foolish Burial, but you can also automatically set, I'll say Fogblade to your back row, and during your opponent's turn, you can just go ahead and activate Fogblade, target, I'll say, Borload Savage Dragon. Its effects are completely negated, which is insanity. Absolutely broken. If a Dark Xyz monster is supposed to summon to a zone or zones this card points to, while this monster is on the field, except during the damage step, you can target a card on the field, destroy it. You can only use each effect once per turn, and it cannot be used as link material. It is unfortunate that you cannot use Rusted Rage as link material, but it's still pretty good because you're able to basically just pop one of your opponent's cards and just destroy. So it can either be a MST or it can be a trap hole depending on how you see it. And then of course we have the one Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. 4 negates, you're good to go. Don't have to explain. Moving on into the Xyz monsters, we have 2 Break Sword, 1 Raider's Knight, 1 Time Thief Redoer, and then the 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Each of these, we all know what they do, don't need to explain. Break Sword just basically allows you to detach a material off of him, target a card you control and a card your opponent controls, and destroy them both. And if if the card were to be destroyed, you can reborn your 2 of your Phantom Knight monsters back. You can just reborn them back to the field in defense. Their levels go up by 1, and you can go into Raider's Knight or Time Thief Redoer, which is absolutely nuts. And the craziest part is that you cannot summon anything else except Dark Monsters for the rest of the turn, which is ironic because Raider's Knight and Redoer are actually dark as well, which is really cool. Raider's Knight basically just grants you the power to summon Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, which is pretty awesome. And that's it. That's all it does. That's all it does, which is nuts. Time Thief Redoer is basically your Omni Negate, where you can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card's material, which is insanity. And the craziest part is that this card can could very well deck out your opponent depending on how many cards they have in their main. So the less cards they have in their main, the higher your chances of winning by deck out off of the effects of Time Thief Redoer, which is nuts. And then of course, truth be told, if you detach a material, you can actually activate one of 3 effects depending on what card you detached. So if you detach a monster, you basically banish this card until the end phase, which you end up losing your materials, but that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't matter because you'll still be able to recycle. You'll be able to get more materials from your opponent's main deck. If you detach a spell, you get to draw a card. If you detach a trap, you basically get to place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck, which you can activate that during your opponent's turn, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then during your standby phase, that monster goes back into that monster goes into this card as its own material, which is absolutely nuts. Absolutely broken. Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon is basically your Omni Negate, because the effect reads, this Xyz summon card cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can detach 1 material from this card. This card gains attack equal to the total original attack of all other monsters on the field. Then if this card has a Dark Xyz monster as material, negate the effect of all other face-up monsters on the field. After this effect resolves, you cannot declare attacks with other monsters for the rest of this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this effect is basically Tachyon Dragon on steroids. Basically, it's basically Tachyon Dragon on steroids, which is nuts. Now for the reason why I've got Waken the Dragon, it's because I am running a massive Waken the Dragon package. So I've got Cyber Dragon Infinity. The more materials you gain with Infinity, the more board wipes you'll have for this card. What card am I talking about? Zeus, Divine Arsenal, AA Zeus, Sky Thunder, Truth Be Told, Redoer can also be a good one, a good like could be a really good could be a really good like a really good way to summon Zeus as well. So it actually works out really nicely. Next up, we have the one Ally of Justice, Decisive Armor. Absolutely nuts. Going up against light decks, pretty much you're able to just... Your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. Then we also have Dragocitos, Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. Absolutely broken. A broken card. The effect reads, cannot be destroyed by battle. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the grave, you can activate this effect. This card can make a second attack on an opponent's monster in a row. During your standby phase, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the lost attack. So basically, it's like Gale the Whirlwind on steroids, and your opponent takes damage. Plain and simple. And then another really good Omni-Negate, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is actually Awaken the Dragon target, which is hilarious. Moving on into the side, we actually do have some more hand traps. We've got the 2 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Being, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre as well. So the Ghost Ogre is mainly in the side, just in case if the danger package is dead in the hand in your opinion, or if the psychic package is not that great, you can just side those out and add in the Ghost Ogres as well to give you even more negation for your opponent's back row, front row, which is absolutely nuts. Then we actually have yet another Awaken the Dragon target in the form of Beelzeus of the Diabolic Dragons. This is basically Beelza on steroids, because the effect reads cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Other monsters you control cannot attack. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls. Any battle damage your opponent takes from attacks avoided this card this turn is cut in half. Also, change that monster's attack to 0, and if you do, gain life points equal to its original attack. You want to try and maximize having life point advantage over your opponent with this card, and you also want to try and maximize having board advantage and card advantage with cards like Fragile Armor, Zeus. You want to try and maximize that. That way your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. This deck basically just ensures your opponent can't play, which is absolutely nuts. And then we also have as well access code talker in case if like I'll say Rusty Bardiche doesn't work out, you can cite out the Bardiche for access code target, which is absolutely nuts. There are some budget options you can choose for this as well. For Zeus, you can I believe you can side this out. You can take this out and do what's that one? There was one that was similar to Zeus, but I don't remember it. But as access code target, you can, if you don't have access code talker, definitely use something like Boral Sword, Borlow Dragon. Any of those two would be perfect for a replacement for access code talker. Which I heard rumors that we're supposed to be getting a alternate art of access code in Maximum Gold El Dorado, which is I saw a photo of it on Twitter. It looks horrible. I'm just being real. It looks fucking bad. But moving on into the spells, there were only 3 spells. Obviously Harpy's Feather Duster, you have to run it, obviously, and then 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet in case if your opponent does try to pull something stupid, you can just activate Forbidden Droplet and just tell your opponent to fuck off, basically. For the traps, we have the 2 copies of Infinite Permanence, the 1 Imperial Order, 2 copies of Zing Zang Hu, which is actually a really good card to stop your opponent from activating their back row, absolutely broken. And then the second Solemn Warning as well, in case if something like, I'll say the effect veilers don't work, I can just side, you can basically just side those out, add in Solemn Warnings, add in the Imperial Orders and whatnot, and you're pretty much off to the races there. But guys, that's going to do it for this deck profile. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the deck. I think it's really good. I did extensive test playing on it for like, I think it was like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours yesterday, in the last couple days. This deck is actually really good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.